Hi, welcome to Crime Clueless. We're your hosts. I'm Jenna.
I'm Lara.
I'm Krista.
And I'm Kayla.
Today we have Kayla virtual, but she is on with us, and we're very happy about that.
Yes.
Yes, happy to be here.
Today we're going to upscale Los Angeles.
Oh,
We ready to jump in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Did you want to talk about something first?
like that was a really quick jump in.
It was.
Everyone doing good
chatting
today?
Before.
Yes.
And then we jumped in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So today we're going to an upscale neighborhood in Los Angeles where family and friends are gathered in the soft glow of candlelight. They have tears mixed with laughter as they share memories of someone they all loved. It's a memorial at a beautiful home in Woodland Hills. On the surface, it's like any gathering of mourners, hugs, sobs, the aroma of home-cooked food from neighbors. But something seems a little off tonight. There's an unfamiliar face in the crowd, a man who doesn't quite fit in. One of the friends notices him hovering at the edge of the gathering, offering condolences despite nobody seeming to know who he is. She wonders to herself, who is that guy? His presence feels out of place because this is more of a memorial for the victim, and it's his people. And they're close. She thinks she would know,
Yeah, that's interesting.
This mystery man's demeanor is a little bit unnerving, so oddly uninvited that the friend quietly snaps a photo of him on her phone, just in case. She has a gut feeling this stranger's appearance isn't a coincidence. That photograph, taken in the dim light of a memorial, would eventually blow this case wide open. But let's not get ahead. Let's linger in this moment, this tight-knit community mourning a sudden, violent loss, and a stranger seeming to lurk among them. No one at the gathering yet knows that the stranger in the photo is actually the key to unraveling the truth behind their friend's murder.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's very ominous.
Yes.
Always follow your gut.
Thank goodness she did.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, at this point, most people there still think the killing was a freak burglary gone wrong. After all, Los Angeles has been plagued by a string of knock-knock break-ins targeting wealthy homes. And on the surface, this tragedy seemed to fit that pattern. But as detectives would soon learn, nothing about this crime was as it seemed. The man being remembered that evening was a beloved father, husband, and an icon in the beauty industry. Though you probably wouldn't have heard his name in those first few tearful toasts. He was the kind of person who lit up a room. He made everyone feel like they were friends instantly. His sister said he used to tell stories and he would engage people seemingly for hours. He'd always make everything really funny. He was born in Toronto on July 13th, 1967. Fabio Sementilli grew up immersed in creativity, under the influence of his Italian immigrant family. He and his older sister, Mirella, got their start in hairstyling, eventually opening a salon together in downtown Toronto as early as the 1980s, where they gained a reputation for their skill, but also their flair. Fabio's talent far exceeded beyond this salon. He competed and won in international hair competitions, earning recognition for his artistry on stage, often under the dramatic lights of conventions in places like Las Vegas and Miami.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. He styled for celebrities, including J-Lo, Russell Crowe, and Jackie Chan. He became known across schoolyards by his son's classmates for appearing on TV. In 2007, Wella Professionals tapped Fabio for a leadership role, prompting his relocation to Los Angeles. By 2013, he had become the Vice President of Education for North America at Wella, which is later part of Coty. By age 49, he had won international hairdressing competitions all over the world, worked on countless Hollywood movie sets, and inspired as many proteges as he'd worked with. Known affectionately in the industry as Big Daddy, a mentor with a booming laugh and a heart of gold, he was deeply respected for mentoring thousands of hairstylists, leading the educational events and embodying generosity and positivity in his profession. He often described his mission succinctly. Our sole purpose and responsibility will be to serve our boss, the professional hairdresser. Fabio's personal life was rich and full. He married Monica Crescentini, a former makeup artist, around 1997 after they met when she was a client in Toronto. The couple built a life together, raising their daughters, Jessica and Isabella. Fabio was a devoted father to his son Luigi from a previous marriage, known for his thoughtful, upbeat nature. Luigi remembered him as like a cup of coffee in the morning, energizing, life-giving. After moving to Los Angeles, the Sementilli family settled into an elegant home in Woodland Hills, complete with a beautiful pool, and they purchased a prized Porsche that Fabio loved. He often hosted gatherings, filmed Fab-style Fridays, industry videos, and smoked cigars by the fire pit while chatting with friends and colleagues. You can just feel it. He's just this larger-than-life dad, devoted family man. He loved barbecuing by the pool. He could cook big Italian dinners for friends. Life wasn't supposed to end like this for him. Yet, just days before this somber memorial, his life was cut brutally short, right in that very home where mourners now held their candles. On the afternoon of January 23rd, 2017, everything came crashing down. That day, the Sementilli household had been unusually quiet. His 2 teenage daughters were out and his wife was running errands. The man of the house, Fabio, was home enjoying a little well-earned rest by the backyard pool of his elegant Woodland Hills property. Then, in a flash, horror struck. Sometime before dusk, intruders crept into the yard. Fabio was ambushed and attacked with a knife right beside the pool. He fought hard for his life, but his assailants overpowered him. When they were done, Fabio lay bleeding from multiple stab wounds to his face, jaw, neck, chest, and thigh.
Yeah.
The attackers then seemed to stage this chaotic scene, probably to mislead investigators, just tossing belongings around, trying to make it mimic a robbery, and even then taking off with Fabio's prized red Porsche from the driveway. When they were done inside the house, they vanished, leaving the property deathly silent. Minutes later, a car pulled into the driveway. Fabio's youngest daughter, 16-year-old Isabella, returning home from school.
Oh,
That always makes me so sad when it's a family member that finds them. I'm sure it makes the most sense since they live there, but it's just heartbreaking.
especially the kids.
Yes, that one is
That's hard.
Mhm.
It's hard for anybody to find them, but
But a
Especially
teenager, or
teenager.
yeah.
it was an awful scene that awaited her. She walked into the backyard and discovered her father's body next to the pool, surrounded by blood. The next moments were panic, a frantic 911 call, sirens blaring in the distance, neighbors peeking out anxiously from behind curtains. They knew about all of the robberies that had been going on, and at first assumed that this house had just been another target of a robbery. Soon, the house was swarmed with police officers and paramedics, though unfortunately it was too late to save Fabio. Yellow crime scene tape went up around the lovely home that had hours earlier been just this normal suburban oasis. In the chaos, Fabio's wife Monica arrived. She'd been out shopping and began wailing with grief. She quickly texted her friend Elise, pleading for her to come over immediately. Elise rushed to the house only to be greeted by this chilling sight. A stranger at the door, perhaps a detective, maybe a neighbor, stopped her with a blunt warning. Don't step in the blood.
Oh, that's awful.
Surprised they're letting people inside
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. It seems like you'd want
to rope it off. Yeah.
and like preserve your crime scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure enough, the entryway floor was smeared with red, blood everywhere. Elise carefully tiptoed through what had just, hours earlier been the site of this horrible violence. Inside, the scene was as gruesome as any seasoned detective had ever seen. Blood spattered across the patio, the floor. They called it an extremely gruesome and bloody scene in the police reports. Fabio's body bore the evidence of this frenzied knife attack, stabbed over a dozen times. Investigators noted that defensive wounds on his arms showed he had fought desperately for his life. Meanwhile, his Porsche, that flashy red sports car he adored, was missing, apparently stolen by the intruders. It actually was found later that night, abandoned about 5 miles away, with droplets of blood inside the cabin. Not sure why they took it, if they were bleeding too, but
Was it their blood or his blood?
theirs. The whole situation screamed home invasion gone wrong. Elise found Monica sitting in a daze amid the commotion. The widow was trembling, eyes unfocused, repeating this strange phrase over and over. She said, "I'm not a wife anymore. I'm not a wife anymore." It was as if Monica couldn't process anything beyond the blunt fact that her husband was dead. To her friend, this reaction seemed like shock and trauma. Police, too, initially saw nothing overly suspicious about Monica's behavior. On the contrary, she appeared utterly devastated. And by all accounts, even to her friend Elise, they had had a great marriage. A woman who just lost the love of her life. The working theory that night was that Fabio had likely been surprised by a burglar and paid with his life. But a few detectives on the scene noticed odd details that didn't add up. For one, Fabio was still wearing his $8,000 Rolex watch when he was found. Who breaks into a luxury home, murders the owner, and leaves behind the Rolex?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
No.
The burglars had taken a car, yes, but they'd passed over a lot of other valuables in plain sight.
Did they take anything else or just the car?
Just the car. Even though they threw stuff around and people might not have an accurate inventory of what was in there, but really the only thing that they could point to was the car.
Interesting.
Detectives started to wonder, was this really a bungled theft or was it just staged to look like one? And then there was Monica's demeanor. She was appropriately hysterical, but like we sometimes hear, maybe too hysterical at moments, one investigator later recalled. One detective quietly noted how Monica seemed intensely fixated on what the police were doing. They said she wasn't just upset, but almost watching them. But nothing concrete pointed to foul play other than these burglars that had broken in. The priority was catching whoever had invaded the home and killed Fabio. Within a day, the LAPD had formed a task force to hunt down the killer. They suspected the culprits might be part of the knock-knock burglars that we noted, which at the time was a gang known for targeting upscale areas. Fabio's death fit the pattern superficially, but I don't believe that they had killed anybody yet. I think they had just been breaking into these pricey homes in the area.
Well, and it sounds like they weren't taking things that you would normally take in a burglary.
Right. And that made this case not just open and shut. Detectives canvassed the neighborhood for witnesses and security camera footage because remember, we're in 2017. I think a lot of us had doorbell cams and security cameras by then.
For sure.
Especially in a wealthy neighborhood, I feel like you would find a little bit more than that.
Well, and also if these burglaries have been going on, maybe they would invest in those even as just a way to keep people away.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, detectives found no immediate leads. There were no suspicious vehicles caught on camera. There were no neighbors who saw strangers approaching the house in daylight. The first break came from the stolen Porsche. Like we said, it was located about 5 miles away in a parking lot a few days after the murder. The forensic technicians eagerly combed it for clues. Sure enough, inside the Porsche, they found traces of blood that did not belong to Fabio. Apparently, one of the attackers had cut themselves during the assault. Perhaps Fabio managed to land a blow or the assailant slipped in the frenzy. Whatever the case, this was a jackpot. If the blood yielded DNA and if that DNA was in any criminal database, they'd have a suspect. And that's exactly what happened. Lab tests soon matched the unknown blood to someone in CODIS, a 52-year-old man named Robert Baker. And this wasn't a name anyone expected. Baker was not a known burglar from this local gang. He was, however, a convicted sex offender with a rather unique background. He was a former porn actor turned racquetball coach in San Fernando Valley. Detectives scratched their heads. what could a guy like that possibly have to do with Fabio, this high-profile hair exec?
Why would you steal the car while you're bleeding and then abandon it?
I have no idea.
That makes no sense. Like at that point, you've stolen it. Take it to somewhere and get it taken care of, or at least clean it before you abandon it.
And maybe they thought they did. How
You would have to top
How
the
did
bottom.
you get there?
Yeah.
If you don't have a way to leave.
Yes.
Or if that's how they just decided last minute to make it look like a robbery.
Yeah.
I
Like,
don't
we
know.
trashed the place. Let's take this
Take
car really
something.
quick.
Yeah. Unbeknownst to the police at the time, they just uncovered the first layer of a scandalous secret life. And if you guessed, that mysterious stranger at the memorial might also have been Robert Baker. Bingo, he was. When the friend's eerie photo from the memorial was handed over, investigators quickly identified the mystery man as Robert Baker, the same man now linked by DNA to the crime scene.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he went to the scene of the crime.
Yep.
I'm glad that these guys are not
Smart.
super smart.
Yeah. Same.
Oh.
I will say I've held off on this case because just in summer of 2025 did we get final conclusions.
Oh,
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm glad that we have conclusions.
Yes.
Thanks for holding off.
You're welcome.
We always prefer that, Jenna.
Yes, right. Well, we have known for a while, but I would say the trial and everything.
Yeah.
So Baker, he had brazenly shown up at Fabio's memorial gathering to pay respects, I guess.
It's bizarre.
But no. Perhaps he thought no one would question his presence in the crowd, which was bold.
Yeah. Isn't it a family memorial?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. In that photo, Baker even has a noticeable bandage on one finger covering a new cut. It looked like he might have sliced himself, maybe during the stabbing. The coincidence was too strong to ignore, and they were finally getting these pieces falling into place, but they did form an ugly picture. Fabio's death was not a random burglary at all. Maybe it was an inside job. Detectives quietly dug into Robert Baker's background and connections. They did not have to dig very far. One big reason Baker's presence at the memorial felt so out of place was that he wasn't part of Fabio's circle at all. He was part of Monica's. Baker, it turned out, was Monica's personal racquetball instructor. You heard that right. The grieving widow had a handsome fitness coach on the side.
Hmm.
And that's not all. Monica and Robert Baker were having a secret affair, one that had been heating up for months behind Fabio's back.
Oh,
Showed up at the memorial.
Mm-hmm.
wow.
So suddenly for detectives, the motive for murder became crystal clear. Love or lust or an affair. And, you want to guess? And a $1.6 million life insurance policy.
Yeah.
Fabio.
Yeah, I was going to say money. That seems to be the other motive.
Yes.
Always.
Yep.
Baker wasn't just some thief. He was Monica's lover. He was a popular racquetball coach in the area who had charmed Monica and now allegedly killed her husband.
Makes a little bit more sense that I'm no longer a wife.
Yeah.
Maybe I can now be with this guy.
Mm-hmm. And I'll still have money.
Yep. Nope.
Yeah, nope. For Fabio's friends and family, these revelations were staggering. They had no clue. However, this went down. It was executed brilliantly because we were deceived. Morella, who was Fabio's sister, later admitted, marveling at how completely Monica had fooled everyone. Fabio's son, Luigi, remembered being absolutely blindsided. At first, he couldn't believe his stepmother could be involved. I don't know what to think in that moment. I'm like, are you sure this is right? It just seems so far-fetched, he said, of the moment he learned about the secret investigation. Only later, when police laid out all the evidence, did the truth actually sink in. And what a trove of evidence it was. As investigators peeled back the layers, they uncovered a detailed murder plot that had been months in the making. Monica, they concluded, was the ultimate orchestrator, the mastermind who set her lover on a mission to eliminate her husband.
Monica.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm. She had carefully choreographed that January afternoon to ensure that Fabio would be alone and vulnerable. According to court reports, Monica planned to be out of the house at just the right time, even driving to a local Target to create an alibi for herself. She was careful to schedule errands only when her daughters were also out. I mean, she didn't want the kids coming home during what was about to happen, at least, I guess. While Monica was, air quotes, shopping, she was actually in a covert, constant communication with Baker, texting him through this encrypted app called Fiber dozens of times to coordinate. In fact, on the day of the killing, Monica and Baker exchanged 95 texts, and the day before, 180 messages.
Wow.
Whatever was being said in those texts, one thing's clear. They weren't talking about racquetball.
When are people going to learn to just get divorced? What's the big deal?
Don't get it.
I mean, she probably would have gotten alimony. Mm-hmm. They could have waited a few months to announce their affair and pretend like it was new. You really don't need to kill people. Come on.
Especially your children's other father, mother, whatever.
Yeah.
And you get caught, you're in prison, and now your kids are left with
nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awful.
Which is so sad.
Yes. And it doesn't seem like he was we don't know everything at this point, but it doesn't seem like he was a terrible person.
No, out of all the documentaries and everything I've read, there's nothing.
Yeah.
He seems like a great guy.
Yeah.
Monica also had an ace up her sleeve, the house's own security cameras. Investigators later discovered that Monica had given Robert the login to their home surveillance system. She herself was watching from a live feed on her phone just before the attack.
Wow.
Yeah. Essentially, she acted as a lookout via Wi-Fi, ensuring that Baker knew exactly when the coast was clear to strike. Video evidence presented in court would show Monica literally monitoring the backyard on her phone moments before Fabio was stabbed. It's a chilling image. The wife spying on her husband in real time, knowing that he's about to be killed. And that's the thing. You have so many opportunities to go back and decide to not do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so terrible.
Awful.
Yeah. So sad.
Like Krista said, just get divorced. And I wonder if it is a thing with money and you don't want to share your kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true too.
I'm sure that people think about that like, oh, well, if we get divorced, we have to share holidays, we have to share custody and things like that. But now you don't get any time with them because now you're in prison.
Yeah. Better than no holidays.
It's awful.
Yep.
Don't try and be selfish because now you have nothing.
Yeah.
And your kids are not going to.
They're not going to want to be with you.
Oh, no.
Killed their dad.
Yeah.
And you've been having an affair.
Yep.
The plan, prosecutors alleged, was as cold-blooded as it gets. Baker wasn't acting alone that day either. He had recruited a buddy, Christopher Austin, to help him carry out the hit. Austin, who was then 38, was a former probation officer from Oregon. Ironically, someone who once worked in law enforcement himself. Baker had flown Austin into LA specifically to be his backup. In fact, evidence later showed that the two men initially had planned to kill Fabio the night before when Monica would send Fabio out on an errand. But Austin got cold feet and backed out at the last minute. Instead of abandoning the plan, Baker simply regrouped and decided to try again the next day, January 23rd, when Monica arranged to have Fabio home alone. And this time, they succeeded.
So they both were in the house and both attacked him?
Mm-hmm. I mean, they have varying stories and they had turned off the video cameras.
Yeah.
According to the prosecution, this is how it went down. While Monica pretended to shop at Target, Baker and Austin snuck into the backyard, armed with a large hunting knife. They crept up on Fabio as he relaxed on the patio. Baker, fueled by adrenaline and perhaps thoughts of playing hero for his lover Monica, rushed Fabio from behind. He attacked ferociously, stabbing Fabio anywhere there was open skin. As he later confessed in grisly detail, Fabio fought back, but Baker and his accomplice overpowered the 230-pound man, beating and stabbing him repeatedly until he collapsed. They left Fabio bleeding out by the pool. To throw off detectives, they then ransacked a few drawers inside the house to try to make it look like this burglary. Then they grabbed the keys to Fabio's Porsche, hoping that stealing the car would simply reinforce that robbery narrative.
Yeah.
The two fled the scene in the Porsche, thinking they'd just pulled off the perfect crime. But perfect crime, this was not.
Thankfully.
Baker had made some key blunders. First, during the assault, like we said, he cut his own finger bad enough to leave his blood at the scene, but also inside the getaway car, like we mentioned. So crime scene 101, don't bleed all over the evidence.
Yeah.
Second, Baker couldn't resist showing up at Fabio's memorial afterwards.
That's so twisted.
It is.
Like,
it is stupid and it is twisted.
It's actually very common.
Yeah.
Though.
Really?
They monitor them a lot. Funerals, memorials, for anybody that
seems odd or out of place.
Yep.
Well, I was thinking too, even like the Idaho murders, he drove back by their house later that day.
Yeah. You just had to go look.
Very common for that. And then also to show back up at the scene of the crime.
Like Robert Durst couldn't help doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. For Baker, did he think that no one would notice this random racquetball coach lurking? I don't know. That misstep put him squarely on police radar and provided that fateful photo where his bandaged finger practically screamed, "I did it." As one veteran detective said, criminals often get caught because they're clueless about how obvious they really are. And here, we've got this A-plus example of that. By early summer 2017, investigators had assembled a mountain of evidence tying both Robert and Monica to the murder. They had surveillance, they had phone records, DNA, witness tips, the works. On June 14th, which was nearly 5 months after Fabio's death, the LAPD was ready to make their move. They knew these two often met up, so they orchestrated kind of a perfect takedown. Detectives tailed Robert Baker as he drove through Los Angeles, and they pulled him over in his car. And who did they find sitting in the vehicle with him? Monica. They were caught together.
How efficient.
Yeah. Officers slapped cuffs on both of them. The arrest moment was so intense that when Detective Dennis Parshall called the Sementilli family with the news, Marilla literally blacked out from shock upon hearing her own sister-in-law had been arrested.
Did they not know before that point?
No. I think they were afraid she was going to flee.
Yeah.
The detective told her, "We arrested Monica and Robert Baker." And she says of that, her mind went blank. No one in Fabio's family had seen this coming. And the betrayal was just overwhelming.
Yeah.
Monica and Baker were soon officially charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. The story dominating the headlines was lurid. A glamorous hair mogul slain in a supposed burglary, now revealed as a deadly love triangle conspiracy orchestrated by his own wife to collect this insurance payout. Friends and colleagues of Fabio were utterly floored. This was the woman who had played the part of the doting wife for almost 20 years.
Wow.
By all appearances, Monica had it all. An elegant home, luxury cars, designer clothes, a successful, charismatic husband who adored her. Why would she risk it all and destroy her family?
How long had she been having the affair for? Did it say?
I want to say a few years. I can't remember. It had been a while though, because their kids had actually walked in before.
So they knew she was having an affair?
Kind of.
Or at least had cheated.
Yeah. I think she tried to play it off as something else, but they're old enough to know.
They walked in on her and him?
Yeah. So sad.
Yeah.
Fabio's sister struggled with that question. Why would she risk it all? Why destroy her family? She said, when all of it came out, my brain just shattered with the dichotomy of the mother and the wife and the home and the life that they had created. She just had this utter sense of dissonance. The Monica that Morella knew was a stylish, caring friend, not a scheming killer. Nobody could picture her as that, which is really interesting and scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabio's children were conflicted. His 2 teenage daughters really initially refused to believe that their mom had any hand in this. They steadfastly supported Monica, visiting her in jail, proclaiming her innocence to anyone who asked. At Robert Baker's sentencing years later, Fabio's eldest daughter, Jessica, spoke on behalf of herself and her sister. We want to clearly state that we'll continue to stand by our mother as we have done for the last 6 years. Took a long time to get to this point.
Yeah.
We'll fight for her innocence.
So they still don't?
I mean, maybe now if they were able to see case files, but throughout her whole trial, they
didn't believe it.
Believe that she would do that. Yeah. And at the same time, they're dealing with the grief of losing their dad. And now I'm sure it's so scary to think about losing your mom too.
Yeah.
You go from this loving, happy household to 5 months later, no parents.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also one thing to have a parent that's having an affair or cheating or something. It's a whole different thing to know that she orchestrated the murder of their father.
That would be hard to come to terms with. As Monica awaited trial behind bars, an absolutely bizarre chapter of this story unfolded. You might think that once these 2 alleged conspirators were locked up in jail, that their murderous, scheming days would be over. No, think again. Monica and Robert continued their steamy love affair from behind bars, and they were not discreet about it. The pair wrote each other gushy letters. They tried to send messages through other inmates. And guess who was watching and listening the whole time? The LAPD and the prosecutors. In what sounded like a plot from maybe Orange is the New Black, I don't know, police launched an elaborate sting operation to monitor them in jail. They planted an undercover officer in Monica's cell as a friendly inmate to get her to chat freely. The results were jaw-dropping. Monica poured her heart and other feelings out in writing. In one 4-page letter to her dearest Robert, Monica wrote, and I am sorry for this, it kind of hurts not to be touched or effed or licked or loved by you.
Oh, gosh.
Explicitly lamenting their intimate separation. And yes, she put that in writing.
Yeah. Why would you not try to distance yourself a little bit from the person who's, you could blame it all on him. Can't do that anymore. Really?
Seriously. Yep. So we've censored some of these words a little bit. Use your imagination. Baker, for his part, was caught in a recorded jail cell, sweet-talking Monica. I love you, baby. I really do. He would say all the time. It sounds cringeworthy, and it is. But more importantly, these communications gave prosecutors extra evidence of just how closely bonded, and you can make the jump to conspiratorial, these 2 were. In one conversation with what turned out to be an undercover officer posing as a cellmate, Monica described Robert as my everything, gushing that he wasn't just her lover, but her confidant. For investigators, kind of felt like Christmas in July. I mean, they have her on tape proclaiming undying love for the man accused of killing her husband.
Yep.
Not a great look for her claim of total innocence,
Yeah. Because I'm sure that's what her girls thought, is that maybe Baker just was jealous and wanted their dad out of the picture and their mom didn't know, but that makes this very hard to hold up in court.
Exactly. Especially where she isn't technically there when it happens. So you've got to have more.
All the text messages and her watching on her phone. That's so
pretty bad.
Yes. And I do believe a lot of those messages, they were never able to unscramble. It would send them, or it had a way to scramble them after.
Yeah.
And so some they could guess, but not all of them. So meanwhile, case preparation moved on very slowly. Both Monica and Robert pleaded not guilty initially, and their defense teams began mounting arguments, whatever they could come up with. Monica's lawyer, Leonard Levine, never disputed that Monica had an affair. It was undeniable at that point, but he insisted adultery is not murder. So saying, sure, Monica cheated, but that doesn't mean that she plotted to kill anyone.
Mm-hmm.
He said everything she did was to protect the affair, not to cover up the murder, suggesting that Monica's suspicious actions, like deleting texts or lying to Fabio, were about hiding the affair, not facilitating a crime. According to the defense, Robert Baker was an obsessive, love-struck man who took it upon himself to eliminate Fabio without Monica's knowledge or consent. Monica, they said, was guilty of infidelity, sure, but not homicide. It was a bold strategy, and as it turned out, Baker himself even tried to bolster that narrative. Facing overwhelming evidence and the prospect of a possible death penalty, Robert Baker made a deal in mid-2023. So we're like 6 years after this happened, by the way.
That's so long.
Yeah. He agreed to plead no contest to first-degree murder and conspiracy, admitting special circumstances like financial gain and lying in wait. This meant Baker accepted life in prison without parole and avoided his own trial. He didn't admit guilt out loud. That's what the no contest means. But legally, it's almost the same as a conviction. In July 2023, Baker was accordingly sentenced to life behind bars, no possibility of parole.
What about his accomplice? Did they get him too?
Mm-hmm. Yes, they did.
Good.
He also struck a deal. I will tell you about it in a sec.
Sorry, jumping ahead.
No, I like it. I'm glad you remembered him. Fabio's family confronted Robert Baker in court on the day of his sentencing. Fabio's sister said that listening to Baker speak in the courtroom, quote, sounded like I was listening to the devil. It was an emotionally charged hearing, but notably, Baker's deal did not require him to implicate Monica. Quite the opposite. After securing his own fate, Baker stepped up with a surprising claim. In early 2024, as Monica's trial approached, Baker gave this detailed statement to Monica's defense team in which he took full responsibility for the murder and said Monica had absolutely nothing to do with it. According to this new account, Baker insisted that Monica had nothing to do with the planning or execution of the murder. He portrayed himself as this lone wolf who decided to kill Fabio out of pure love-fueled desperation. He claimed that Monica had once lamented to him that divorce was not an option. Her family doesn't do divorces. Baker said he had interpreted that as a cry for help, that Monica was trapped in an unhappy marriage, so he took it upon himself to remove Fabio from the picture. In his chilling confession, Baker described slipping into the house with a knife and murdering Fabio. He said, I murdered him because I wanted her. She had nothing to do with it. So he said that on the stand.
Her.
Yep, doubling down on Monica's supposed innocence.
Which would have all probably worked out for them if they hadn't been keeping up their love affair while in prison.
Yeah. I
mean,
mean,
they really think no one would see or hear what they were doing? I don't know, probably.
And that's always so wild to me.
Yeah.
In a twist, the convicted killer is now swearing to save the woman that he once allegedly conspired with. Was this true love or just a final attempt to protect Monica? Or maybe his own legacy? I don't know. By a man who had nothing left to lose. The prosecution, though, did not buy Baker's 11th hour chivalry for a second. Yep. They pointed out that Baker's testimony contradicted a lot of other evidence. For instance, Baker claimed that Monica wasn't involved, yet we have the digital trail of their communications, and that told a very different story. And then, like we said, Christopher Austin, the accomplice, who had also struck a deal. Austin pleaded no contest to a lesser charge of second-degree murder, but he agreed to testify for the prosecution. In March 2025, more than 8 years later.
That's so long.
Yes. Austin took the stand and directly implicated Monica. He stated that Robert Baker had told him point blank that Monica wanted her husband gone. He recounted how Baker lured him into the plot, saying Monica would pay out big once Fabio was dead. After his arrest, Austin even admitted to an undercover agent that she was supposed to get a lot of money if we did it, referring to the life insurance that she would get. He also said that Baker had told him that Monica was loaded and wanted her husband gone. To the jury, Austin's testimony painted a picture of Monica as kind of the puppeteer, pulling Baker's strings from behind the scenes.
Yeah.
After years of delay, which what they're best at, plus we had COVID in the middle, Monica's murder trial began in early 2025, and it was a media circus. The proceedings stretched on for 2.5 months, packed with courtroom fireworks. The prosecution, led by Deputy DA Beth Silverman, who is known for handling other high-profile cases, laid out the affair and the alleged motive in very detailed terms. They emphasized that Monica stood to gain $1.6 million from the insurance payout. They pointed to her lies, her secret communications, all leading up to the murder as proof of premeditation. They revealed that Monica had publicly played this grieving widow, all while continuing her romance with Baker behind closed doors. She even was sexting him during Fabio's funeral in Toronto.
Oh my gosh.
That's so evil and callous.
I mean, you were with...
He's not a bad person.
No, and you guys were together for almost 20 years, plus however long before you got married.
Have kids together, have a home together, friends together.
Yes. So the prosecutor told the jury that Monica had sent nude photos to Baker during her husband's memorial service. If there was an award for bad behavior at a funeral, Monica won it that day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Silverman argued that Monica's, quote, grief was all a sham, pointing to how mere days after Fabio's death, Monica was deleting text messages and working on coordinating alibis. She portrayed Monica as a cold, calculating femme fatale who thought she could outsmart everyone. They always do. The defense, of course, painted a very different picture. They, of course, had to acknowledge Monica's affair, casting Baker, though, as this manipulative older man who had swept a vulnerable housewife off her feet. It's so
okay.
I know. You're just like staring at me like, no.
The audacity.
Saw my brain when I rolled my eyes.
Yes. They claimed that Monica, she was guilty of bad judgment and love, but nothing more. If anything, they argued, Baker acted alone out of a twisted obsession, and Monica was now a victim of both her husband's murder and her lover's lies, which he's saying you had nothing to do with it. So,
yeah.
To bolster this, they leaned heavily on Robert Baker's own words, making sure the jury heard his courtroom declaration. She had nothing to do with it. Monica herself did not testify, but her lawyers hammered that there was no direct evidence, no eyewitnesses, no message explicitly saying kill my husband from her. But again, if you're having an affair, you can say it in person without there being evidence.
Yeah.
And also they're using that Scramble app. So.
Yeah, there could be text messages, just you can't read them.
Exactly. At the end, this became a battle of inference and credibility. In a dramatic moment, Robert Baker took the stand in Monica's trial as a defense witness.
Odd.
Yeah, very unusual in murder cases, especially. He was in handcuffs and in prison garb. He told the jury exactly what he'd promised, that Monica was innocent and he alone was responsible. He said, and we've already said this, but on the stand, he said, I murdered him because I wanted her.
Is that he's perjuring himself?
Yes.
While also serving a sentence. Could he be charged with something after the fact?
I don't know if it matters if you have life in jail without the possibility of parole.
Yeah, but we could tack on some more.
Yeah, I know.
Just really hammer it in.
Just in case.
Yes.
Because he's already, I think, in his 50s. So, I mean, even 25 years puts him pretty old. But
yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because his accomplice is saying the direct opposite.
Yes. Right. And
so someone's lying.
And who has more of a...
More to gain.
Yeah. And
exactly.
I mean...
And who's trying to protect the person he loves.
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess maybe instead of more to gain, he has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And if he can keep Monica, then...
Well, that's what he has to lose.
Is Monica.
Monica.
Yep.
If she's
in jail too, they can't see each other. But if she's out, she could come visit him, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Conjugal visits.
Terrible with that look, though. Like, oh, yeah, I wasn't involved. He killed my husband, but we're going to stay together.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't work either. There's no way for them to be together moving forward.
But I guess they're not thinking very clearly. I don't know.
Well, she's like, oh, he did this for me.
Yeah.
And I love him.
Yeah, exactly.
How romantic.
Killed my husband for me.
But
Terrible.
When someone has been found not guilty, they can't ever be tried again.
Yeah.
So she could technically, even though it's a bad look, it's already a bad look.
You've already been in jail for 8 years now.
Yep. While Baker was testifying, he was gazing longingly at Monica across the courtroom. On the stand, he admitted to killing Fabio, but he insisted that Monica had never asked him to. And if you're thinking, an incarcerated killer's word, very trustworthy, you're not alone. The prosecutors tore into Baker on cross-examination, highlighting all the evidence contradicting this white knight act. They confronted him with the 95 messages on the day of the murder, and more than that the day before.
Mm-hmm.
The video of Monica watching the cameras, and the orchestrated alibi trip to Target. Baker had explanations for some things. He claimed the texts were just, I love you, and mundane chit-chat. Sure.
And a scrambled messaging app.
Yeah, but that's just so nobody found out about their affair.
Okay.
Yep.
Sure.
For other things, he just claimed he was forgetful. It's been a long time. Or maybe it was a coincidence. It was intense. At one point, prosecutors implied that Baker was still so infatuated that he was willing to perjure himself to save his lady love.
Mm-hmm.
Baker shrugged and basically said that he just wanted to tell the truth and take responsibility.
How honorable.
Mm-hmm. It was a risky testimony, but the defense was desperate to introduce reasonable doubt. After the closing arguments, the jury deliberated for about a day. When they returned, Monica stood trembling, a rosary in her hands. Yep.
Here, hold this.
Yeah. The verdict, guilty on all counts. Monica let out a gasp and broke down sobbing as the foreperson announced that she was convicted of first-degree murder and conspiracy in her husband's killing. The jury also found true the special circumstances, that the murder was for financial gain and committed by laying in wait, which meant that Monica faces a mandatory sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. It was April 11th, 2025, more than 8 years after Fabio's death, and at last, justice had caught up with this scheming duo.
Mm-hmm.
One juror later commented that the digital evidence and Austin's testimony were especially convincing. Baker's attempt, however, to play savior for Monica didn't overcome the sheer weight of proof that she had been in on it from the start. In the aftermath, LA County District Attorney Nathan Hotchman summed up the case in one statement. This was a cold and calculated crime motivated by greed and betrayal. Indeed, the tale of Fabio's murder is one of greed, betrayal, and lust, of really Shakespearean proportions. Monica's sentencing was June 23rd, 2025, where she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She, of course, plans to appeal.
Of course.
As for the others, Robert Baker, now 63, sits in state prison with no chance of release. He will die there, serving the punishment he earned by killing his lover's husband. And Christopher Austin, that, quote, reluctant sidekick who flipped on his co-conspirators, was sentenced to 15 years to life for his role. So Austin will have the possibility of parole someday, perhaps reflecting his cooperation and the lesser role in all of this. And one might say that he's the only one out of the trio who could see the outside of a prison. For Fabio's loved ones, the end of the courtroom battle was bittersweet. They'd finally gotten the truth and accountability that they sought, but it doesn't bring Fabio back.
Mm-hmm.
His sisters, children, and friends are still left to live with this void of losing him and the bitter knowledge of who was responsible. Fabio's professional community, that global network of stylists and salon owners, they all also felt the shockwaves of this crime. In the days after Monica's conviction, social media lit up with the hashtag Justice for Fabio, as colleagues and proteges shared memories of the man who had taught and inspired so many. They remembered this generous mentor with an infectious laugh, the big daddy of the beauty world who had a knack for making everyone smile. Fabio's legacy clearly lives on in those he helped and the artistry that he brought to his craft. It's hard to fathom how a story that began with such a loving, successful family could twist into something so dark. Fabio and Monica had appeared to have this picture-perfect life, but behind the gates of their Woodland Hills home lurked secrets that ultimately turned deadly. In the end, this case does have all the makings of some awful Hollywood thriller. We've got this charismatic victim, scheming spouse, lover with a sordid past, and a slew of plot twists from staged crime scenes to jailhouse stings.
Mm-hmm.
It also featured criminals who were not exactly as clever as they thought.
Thankfully.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that is case on Fabio Sementilli. What do you guys think?
I was definitely not expecting Monica to have been involved. That made me really sad.
I know, right?
I wasn't expecting it from the beginning, but when you were talking about the weird things she was saying after in the house, I was like, oh, that sounds kind of sketchy.
Yeah.
But you could also almost see, like, if you've been married for 20 years and she's pretty young,
I think I'm
feeling
just
like I'm not a wife anymore. Yeah.
Listening to these cases, you're just suspicious.
Yes.
Yep.
It's really sad.
Suspicious.
Really sad for their kids. I hope they got his life insurance payout.
I hope so too.
I can't remember. I'll have to look that up.
I hope they got
Look it
something.
up and add it at the end.
So sad. I always feel bad when there's kids there and now both their parents are gone.
Yeah. Yep. But he was worth quite a bit. So hopefully they're set up with trusts and
hopefully.
Yeah.
So sad.
It is really sad.
It's not a replacement, but it's something to help them as time goes on.
Well, especially since they're still young. They're still 16 was the youngest. And
so now early 20s, mid 20s.
Yeah. But they still have college and weddings and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they don't have parents be with them.
Well, and that's the most awful part is you have no parent to be at your wedding or your graduation or So I hope it sounds like they had good family that stepped in.
It sounded like his family,
especially his
supportive.
Sister. Yeah.
Yeah, she seems really great. But
yeah.
Well, if you want to learn more about this case, there are more crazy details that hard to fit in every single one of them. You can check out our blog. It's linked in our show notes. Or you can go to crimeclueless.com, go to the contributors section, and our blog link is there. And you can read more about this case and see the resources that we used to create it. If you have any thoughts or comments, we'd love to hear them. You can find us on social media at crimeclueless or send us an email, crimeclueless@gmail.com. And as always, thank you so much for joining us. Remember, refuse to be clueless, careless, or caught off guard.
Not today, murderers.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.